Oh, also, oh wait, okay, good. All right, awesome. All right. So let me know my screen. I have an ultra wide, so if my screen is
Sure.
too hard to see, then okay. All right. So just to kind of set the stage, we knew that one of the big challenges with this project was going to be efficient conversion of T-SQL to Spark SQL. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the core problem, right? And then everything else surrounding that core problem is really just in support of that core problem. And I mean problem in like a math problem sense, not in a negative sense, right?
Mhm.
And so, we wanted to approach this with an AI first sort of lens. So the question then became, well, if the core problem is converting T-SQL to Spark SQL, how do we use AI to do that? And how do we mitigate the potential downsides of using AI in that process, right?
Mhm. Yep.
So what I did is I stood up a SQL Server. As you can see here, I have SQL Server Management Studio open,
Right.
and I have a whole bunch of tables here that are related to like an EMS system, right?
Mhm.
So basically, just modeled it after like an electronic medical system, and then just put a bunch of synthetic data in it, and then created a bunch of views and stored procedures, and basically wanted to mimic a an environment that kind of closely matches what you have internally. Now, obviously, you have more tables, more data, more views, more stored procedures, but it's really just more. It's not like other, right?
Yeah.
So started with that, and then the thing I want to demo right now is the application that we created to do this. So this is a T-SQL Spark converter, and can you see the browser okay?
Yeah. Mhm.
So what it does is it's going to connect to that database that you just saw,
Mhm.
and it is going to, and you'll see a bunch of things
Yeah, in
happening,
the background. Mhm.
right? And so what it's doing is it is pulling down all the views. Basically, it's pulling down all the T-SQL, right?
Yeah.
So it's pulled down all the T-SQL, and it's determined like what, is it a view? Is it a procedure? And so you can see that you can do some filtering and stuff. We'll get back to the more fine-grained features in a second. But what's important is at a high level, it puts these various T-SQL conversion jobs into a workflow, right? So it starts off as pending. And so if we look at like this view, for example, diagnosis frequency view, if we go and look at this view, what it does is it gives us a side-by-side comparison between the original T-SQL and the converted Spark SQL,
Mhm.
right? But currently, there's been no conversion. Like there's been no code written to actually produce Spark SQL.
Yeah.
So rather than just convert this one, I'm going to go ahead and just convert all.
Mhm.
So what this is going to do is it's going to reach out to an API, specifically an AI API, and it's going to give it instructions on how to migrate or how to convert T-SQL to Spark SQL. I mean, it's going to rely on the the core model to do that migration, but we're going to give it some guidance as to how to think about doing that,
Mm.
right? Because there's a lot of, if you just said, hey, convert this T-SQL to Spark SQL, it's generative AI, right? So you're going to get non-deterministic answers that are going to vary wildly depending on which execution which context window you're in.
Right.
And so you really do need to do a lot more hand holding there. But not like programmatic hand holding. It's more like, prompt engineering, I should say, probably the best way to describe that.
Mhm.
Okay, so now you'll see that all of the T-SQL has been set to the review status, right? So we basically said to the system, hey, go ahead and do the work that we know you need to do, right? So if we go look at the diagnosis frequency view, we can see that now we have an original T-SQL and a Spark SQL.
Mm-hmm.
And if we look in the logs, we can see, the back and forth messages between, we are using the Claude API right here,
Yeah.
between Claude and the original T-SQL. So now we have this converted Spark SQL, and the question then becomes like, does this even work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have some code, and the question is, does it work? So we created a verify feature that what it does is it actually goes through the process of validating the T-SQL that was created.
I'm sorry. Uh-huh.
No
Yep.
worries. So all of this is happening inside of PySpark, right?
So verify is executing that Spark SQL code versus.
That's right.
Okay, got it.
That's right. Yep. So it executes the Spark SQL code against, up here, you'll see there's tables cached 23.
Uh-huh.
And so what that did is not only did it pull down the stored procedures and the views, but it also pulled down all the synthetic data and loaded it into a storage mechanism so that we could basically not only verify the syntax is correct, but also verify that the data itself is producing the results that we expect, right?
Yeah.
And so then once you have kind of compared the syntax, you've done some verification, you feel good about the results that you're getting, you can then, approve the conversion process. And then basically you can work a list, right? So you can go through one by one and say, this is done, this is done, this is done, right? So some of the kind of more fine-grained features is that you get, this is not anything to really brag about because it's, widely available, but you get, code completion, for example. And so you can manually modify the Spark SQL. You can verify it, see what kind of results you're getting. Okay, I like that. I'm going to approve this. But in this case, because I've modified it, that doesn't really make sense. You can reset the object and basically take it back to a place where you can go back through the process. Now I'm going to talk to the API or the AI, and I'm going to say, give me a new, conversion, right? Then I can, save these changes and then go through my.
So hold on. So if you reject, right, like what is that process of, I don't know, like telling the AI, like, hey, this didn't work and I want you to try again effectively. How does that?
Yeah, so reject is not currently tied into the AI conversion system. It's more of an indication that a person has reviewed the,
like your list workflow management.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So if something gets rejected, then there's a problem and it needs to be worked, right? So you might take the first pass, knock out all the easy targets and say, yeah, okay, 80% of them are done now. 20% of them are problematic because maybe they're complicated in some kind of way. We need to dig a bit deeper. And so the way the system works is it actually has a, let's say that, like, I don't know, patient summary was having some issues, right? So I could actually come in here and start doing some AI operations. I can pull this into another tool potentially. There's all kinds of options for me to do. One of the things that this tool doesn't do yet that I would have, that had we continued to add more into it, would have been sort of a, like right here, what I can't say is, I don't have an AI chat window where I can say, hey, I'm seeing these problems, go and fix them, right? That would have been a natural next step.
Right.
And honestly, quite trivial to add, right? But at a certain point, when the problem gets too complicated, right? And by complicated, I mean, okay, maybe there's multiple stored procedures involved, maybe there's multiple states involved, right? So like you could imagine a situation where you only see a problem if this particular previous stored procedure ran and it did some kind of mutation operation on a certain, window. In other words, it's really highly stateful. So just a straight export of the data is not going to get you there. You've got to isolate the problem in a very specific state. This tool at that point starts to fall down, right? It's not going to hold up under that kind of issue. So you're going to pull it out. You're going to move it into another atmosphere. There's a lot of CLI utilities that come along with this tool. This is a UI on top of a kind of a robust CLI tool, and so there are different operations that you can take there. But the point is, what you would do is, as you encounter those problems and find fixes, you would add those features to the tool itself. And so as time goes on, you could do things like scaffolding data sets. You could do things like, AI, sort of repeats or conversations about a particular Spark SQL. So really the tool becomes something that kind of grows with you. But it grows with you at like an exponential rate, meaning that whereas to create a tool like this in the past would take quite a while, we're iterating on it in a matter, instead of weeks, it's hours, and instead of hours, it's like a minute, 2 minutes. Yeah. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, pretty cool. Like from you guys' standpoint, like you could genericize this to be sort of like any sort of converter, right? Like you have a workflow here, you have this process of before and after, and it's really an interesting approach. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
And I think one of the things that's really, really interesting about this is you sort of call out a common software development paradigm, which is this notion of centralization, right? So when we think of software, at least historically, it's made a lot of sense to centralize. I think the future is probably not centralization. I think the future is like niche and micro sort of categories.
Right.
For example, like you might think, oh, well, you could build a tool that converts anything, like you said, but then if the threshold for building a tool that converts something specifically is trivial to make, then it makes more sense to sort of optimize for that use case versus, right? So I really see the proliferation of software utilities like this just kind of exploding. And at least in a very, very temporary sense. In a bigger picture sense, I think actually what happens is you have agents who are talking to agents who are running specific applications for a specific human being, and maybe this world is maybe this agent's world's a little bit different than this other agent's world, but they translate and they talk between each other and kind of negotiate. So anyway, I digress there because I'm dipping into deeper waters at that point. So the question I kind of want to ask here is, you said the tool is cool. Yeah, you said the tool is neat. Do you think had this tool been used, it would have saved time?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, this is a nice approach to doing it, where I think you like just playing this back with our workload, you'll get 60 to 75% that's going to be done on the first pass, and that'll be very easy to visualize, and then it's refining the rest. So yeah, I definitely see where this tool would have had an impact.
Yeah, so kind of our vision was, we would come in with this tool, run through, get that 60, 70% completed, then use our, decades in the field to quickly sort of iterate on all the remaining problems, sort of while improving the tool as we go, right? Because if I have to spend, say, 3 hours setting up something, to fix a particular issue, I might as well add that feature to the tool. And then the next time I encounter a similar situation, I just, use the feature in the tool to make that quick.
Yeah.
So as it goes, even though the complexity increases, so does the time saving. So it kind of evens out the level of effort between the increasing complexity, assuming that we could order the issues that we run into in order of complexity. It may be that, because it's effectively an unsorted list of complexity, because it's like unknown stored procedures to us. Excuse me. And so it may be that we hit the most complicated one first, add a whole bunch of features to the tool, and then the rest of them fall like that.
Right.
Right. So you really don't know. But yeah, so I think another thing that's kind of interesting for you in this demo, and maybe you've already thought of this, is as the team that you've hired works through this, you'll get exposure to sort of their approach, and you'll be able to compare it with this approach and potential future approaches to say, hey, because sort of our this is kind of off demo at this point, but in general, we make promises that we believe we can keep, and a lot of times we sort of save the surprising value of working with Nevo to actually working with us. And so like we definitely had in our radar like performance optimization, stuff like that. But just wasn't, like you said earlier, just wasn't confident to make those guarantees.
Right.
All right, let me stop the anything else you want to see before I close this down?
No, I think I've got it. Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, pretty quick demo.
And then like, I saw your interactive with Claude. Like, I imagine you can plug and play the AI. Like, if one was better than the other or whatever, right? Like, you can just change the API to the LLM, right? Something like that.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, it's sort of a superpower in a way, right?
Yep.
I can say like, I can add conversational helps for conversion. For example, I could say, okay, you did it this way, but as a collaborator, you should really think about it this way. Or I can say, hey, don't use this, Claude API at all. Use this other, AI engine to do it. There's a ton of, I think that's what you were asking, right? Like the ability to kind of configure like who you talk to and what you talk about. Absolutely.
Right. And do you maintain that state in that sort of those JSON files or whatever within the thing?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, actually, you can see if you want to, like, there's I stopped sharing, but I should have kept sharing, right? So if you look in the logs, there's actually like detailed, conversations that you can look through here and kind of see like what the communication was looking like between the systems.
Yeah. Wait, go back. Is that the Spark query plan? I'm just interested. Go back a little down, right there. Up, go up. No, up, right there. That whole thing. Systems never visit, blah blah. Okay, so you pulled the plan too. That's cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and honestly, you're seeing only one version of this. I've made several versions, and they had varying levels of sophistication. My first attempt was a completely automatic conversion process.
Yeah.
Had no human involvement at all, where actually the system would recursively verify. So it gets kind of meta for a second, but I basically had there was an AI agent that was building the application itself. that would then run conversions and find errors and then iterate on the application itself to try and remove the errors that it found and create solves for the errors that it found. And it became this sort of like really interesting exercise and like AI capability. Like, can the AI resolve all the issues by itself without human interaction? And I think the answer is yes, but I realized that I would have to put more time and for a demo for a potential prosecutor.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't want to solve the world, so to speak, you know. But yeah, I do think like as all the big AI companies have been saying that, you know, 2025 is the year of agents. I think that is completely true.
Cool.
You know, I can say for myself, my personal productivity level has gone probably up 2 levels of orders of magnitude.
Yeah.
Which, if you think about it, is you know, pretty insane, right? So
I think to me, like when my AI was down yesterday for whatever reason, I was like, I can't work. Like, I don't want to be slowed down, dude. I'm just gonna get a cup of coffee or something.
You've probably been in tech long enough to remember the days when like pre-internet, like pre-Google solutions, pre-Stack Overflow, all that, where like to find an answer to a technical problem was basically to own the book.
Yeah, right? Or I remember going through a man page, right? Like
exactly. And then like Google hops on the scene, Stack Overflow grows. And this is the thing I bet you remember, which is if the internet goes down at the office, nobody's working. So they got access to the code. Like, why would you?
Right.
And now we've taken it up a level, and we're like, if AI is down,
I totally get it. Yeah. Okay.
All right, I'll stop recording here.
Okay.